Sort of worked. Okay. Let's get our brushes out. This one is 00. It's fine. It's close. It's not quite it. You know what? We're getting grease on this thing. Don't need oil out on everything. Oh good, the live chat is actually working initially. Hooray for the no one to be there, but that's fine. Okay, let's do that one. Let's try that guy out. That's the newish one, is it? Or the other one? This one is the new one. Okay, we'll do that one. Okay, that's a bunch of scrolling brushes. Deep down in the paint thinner. Let's get some paint mixed up first. I'm going to be using Alpha 6's Ultramarine today because it shows up really well on the white paper. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that. I think part of the reason that I'm doing the lives on here is because I can leave the video up. So it'll be up later, actually, after I'm done doing this. So if you want to actually see the nonsense that's going on, because all I'm going to do is test out some scrolling brushes. I haven't actually started filming the video yet. I'm making a mess now. But basically, I'm going to try out a bunch of scrolling brushes. I want to see what I think of each of them, because I'm going to do separate reviews of each one as I get more comfortable with these. So I wanted to test these out. Same way I'm testing the pinstriping brushes. So like this first one here, for example, this is the Wizard Vortex. I haven't used one of these in a long time. In fact, this one was probably never actually used. I think this one just sat in the box. And then I've got here Vondego's Pro Series, his lightsaber. This one could probably stand to be in there a little bit longer. This other one that I dug up, now I don't know entirely how old this brush is. Clearly I never really got comfortable using it, but it's one of the Kafka scrolling brushes. So it's been around a while. So this was old when I moved to Fullerton from Orange. So that was like 2013 that I moved. Aloha, Cupcake. Then there's the Wizard, which I don't know how. Okay, this has been my main brush since these things, or not the Wizard, this is the Dragonfly. This has been one of my main brushes since it came out. So I haven't done a brush review on this. Can you believe that? Like I gotta work on that. Then there's this beast. This is the David Jackson brush. So David is a brush maker in England, and he pretty much makes everything custom, which is why I got this cool red handle for it. But this one is made, we had to work a little bit to get the details right, because there were things I didn't know about a brush. So we had to work on that. That is a lot of highs you got going on there. How are you? So then we're going back to this one because I think it's clean and ready to go. But this is the Vondego Pro Series. And the one that I've been working with the most lately, because I kind of liked it after I did the brush review video. Not right away. It took a little while. This one had to grow on me a bit. I had to get used to the notion of how this one works. This is the Wizard Black. Anyhow. Anyhow, this is the one that has set me off on this course of me needing to try out the rest of the scrolling brushes. And I do have 4 or 5 other ones that I just not there with them yet. Just there, they need to get treated, conditioned, and cleaned. These are at least older brushes. Not that one, that's not older. Let's start. Let's try things with this Kafka first, okay? Now I'm probably gonna go through a few pieces of paper while I'm doing this. There's probably gonna be some me questioning some life choices, and I should probably replenish my reducer before we get too far into this. That's easy enough. That's why it's on the shelf right in front of me. And we splashed a little bit. That's okay. We'll freaking live. Okay, so let's get this guy started up. So it's a little bit curved. This was the problem that I was having with this one. When I was trying to work with it the other day, I'm gonna have to see what I can get around that with, or how I can get around that, I should say. Why am I? Did I got oil all over me? I don't know how, but I did. I've got oil all over my hands. Not helpful, I know. All right. So let's start. Let's just get some paint on this guy. I'm gonna get it. You know, we can start with a fresh page, I think. Or, yeah, we'll start with a fresh one. All right. So let's get this guy nice and wet. Now for scrolling purposes, I can get away with leaving my cup down here. Normally when I'm striping, I tend to palette in there, so I need the side of the cup available. For this though, I'm gonna be paletting on the paper. But that's because I have to really, really focus on how I reduce this. See, I'm not liking the way that this one's curved already because it's not straightening, even loaded with paint. But that's okay. I'll find a way to work with this. Scoop those guys over. Now, I did find when I was trying to do this, trying to draw out the design was definitely not working for me. Let's get a little more juice. I just don't like the way that it works. All right, so let's see this guy in action, shall we? So far, I'm liking the way that this one handles. It's a little better than it was the other day. Still getting a little sticky. It's a little dodgy at the end there. So let's dip it and just pull that sucker all the way out. Okay, that wasn't bad. That was a little bit better than what it was the other day. I don't know that I like it necessarily because it's a little, the curvature makes it a little floppy. It's a little tougher for me to try to keep it under control. And then the way that this pulls these lines when I dump it, so even when I'm letting it just dry out, I don't know if I like the way that that has a tendency to happen. And I think I have the same issue with the dragonflies at times when they're too thin. That's why I usually don't use anything smaller than 00. And I think this one's a single 0, but I could probably stand to have like a 1 or a 2 gauge instead. But I can clean this one up. It's a tiny bit. So I can clean up the lines a little bit with this one. That's also another big plus with this brush. If I can clean up the line work that I'm doing, then we're in good shape. I don't totally dislike that. I don't exactly like it, but I don't dislike it either. Okay, so far so good. I don't hate this brush. So this is the Kafka. That's what we're working with this one. So far it did fine. I might want one of these in a bigger size than this, but seems fine. Let's see, who do we want to work with next? Let's try that Wizard. Or no, let's go straight to the Mondego. I haven't used this one in quite a while. And I really only use this one because I couldn't find the brush that I wanted to use. And luckily, Mondego was there to help. So let's get this guy loaded up. Ooh, check that out. So loading this brush is a little different because it kind of all rests right there at the tip. So that may be useful, it may not be useful. We'll find out here shortly. So I'm gonna a little more paint just so I have a little more cushion to work with. Is that Alley I see? I gotta get my romper room mirror going. The magic mirror. Alright. This guy should be alright. Let's try it. So this brush being a bit shorter kind of dries out a little quicker. But that also might be my brush control, so let's see. So the tip had a little going on there. We don't like that. It's not how we want the tip to behave. This might be where I stop using this brush actually. This one's being a little funky. Nice. I was wondering when that was going to actually get delivered because the post office was a little concerned with life when I was over there. So I'm glad you got it. So I'm liking the way that this one goes. Like, I may need to get a fresh one of these, or I may need to just trim those two little hairs off of this one. But I like the way that this brush is flowing. It's a little bit short for my grasp on this thing, but that might actually work for me to pull a little bit tighter curls too. So. Let's pull a couple of, let's just see how long it takes to drag this one all the way out. So that's not good. tip completely just came apart on that one. That's not. So yeah, maybe I need a new one of these brushes. All right. It's not like I'm a stranger of ordering things from Blohme, you know? So that one's starting to just come apart. So the tip on this thing right here, while I'm pulling the lines, is just flaring out in every direction. So that line right there is just crunchy looking. So probably need a fresh one of these, just like I need a fresh one of the Kafkas before I do anything with it. Now this one, I don't think this one has been used, but this one's also pretty old too. So I don't know how well this one's gonna work. I know that the other one was doing the same thing as that Vondego was. So, not a huge fan of the way the old one was working. Now this one, just looking at it, the tip hairs are all uniform. So I think this one will be all right. So let's give this guy a shot. Let's load him up. Okay. Here. So the tip seems pretty sharp. I'm a little impressed with that because the other one was just all over. All right, let's get some juice in that. I want to make sure that this is a little bit more wet. So the difference between this one and the other two is that this one is an all-natural hair. The other two were both synthetic blends. It shouldn't make a huge difference, but it can make a difference in terms of how much reducer you have to use. So that one kind of flared out a little bit towards the end, and that's okay. It doesn't look bad, I just don't know that I like it when the brush flares on me like that. It's something that I have to be able to control, and that's a tougher situation with this one. Okay, it does handle the shorter little dips a lot better than the other two have. Like, I have control of how these little swooshes go. So I do like that. So let's go the opposite direction now. Or actually just go further this way, I guess. So I'm not really. I don't dislike this one. I think I like this one better than I like the other two. But I don't know that I'm 100% on this one either. It's like some of the little flares that are coming off this thing because the tip's still flaring out a bit. Not a huge fan of that. but I can work with this one. I think this one I probably can do a little bit more work with. So this one is the Wizard Vortex. So far, of the three, this one's been my favorite one to try out. Let's get ourselves a little more space. Now let's try, so this is my main brush that I use for very literally everything. But what I don't do a lot of is scrolling. So this is the Dragonfly, and I believe this is the 3 gauge. So it's a little bit thicker, but let's give this guy a shot for actually doing scroll work, shall we? Which honestly, I don't know how I haven't done a review video of the Dragonflies. Which now that I'm aware that I haven't done one, I probably need to work on that. Alright. So let's give this guy a huge sweeping thing. So part of this brush, and part of the reason I use this brush so much, is it doesn't flare. And this one's completely synthetic. So this one, I don't have to worry about things. It's also got a flat tip to it. That's the biggest difference, is this very tip right here. It's flat like a little chisel, which makes it really good for when I do detail work, and it makes it really good when I do like any of the design stuff that I use it for. Because I can dig into a corner with it and get a solid starting point for every line that I pull with it. But that also makes it flow a bit differently than the rest of the brushes. And I think of these brushes, this might be the only one that I have that's got a flat top to it, or flat tip to it, I should say. That's okay. Because it's clearly making a difference in how I'm doing this, so. The other thing is when I do a dump with this brush, because I am so used to working with it, I can pull in another line and get almost the same density out of it. But now when I need to clean up a bit. But, you know, or maybe don't, I don't know. Let's do the little flary things. So this one, when I pull these flares and I pull all the way out of it, it's always gonna have a faded tip to it because of that chisel tip on here. Which, as long as you know that that is going to always do it, then you can use that and control that, so it's useful. But when I first started using these things, that was just frustrating because I couldn't get it to not do it. And I'd have to go back in with a detail brush if I wanted it to be somewhat sharp. So a little bit of a learning curve with this one. Little bit, not a lot of it, little bit. So don't let things clump up in your brush. That's what's going on right here. So like that. Don't do that. Don't let your brush do that. You don't want that. It's not good for business. Alright. Now let's get this guy. Let's overload this one a bit. This ought to be fun. I just wanted to see that comparative to the other ones doing it. Because this one I can actually control it. I could do that intentionally, whereas the other ones, they just kind of do it when they want to. I am not a huge fan of that. So that kind of worked for me. I kind of like that. Okay. So I guess I'm gonna have to do a review on these ones finally. I'm gonna have to work with a little bit more because I'm just not completely comfortable doing this stuff. All right. Where do I want to do it? We'll just go right here, I guess. So this is the, you know what? Yeah, this is the wizard. This is the Black Widow. You know what's funny about that? So now that you mentioned that this is that same color, this was the test panel that I did before I did the those concrete things. And I have not done anything with this board. It's just been something that I've been attaching papers to whenever I'm doing tests, because I figure it should just be here, but I don't want it to be, I don't know what I want to do with it because it's textured and I can't really stripe over it, but it makes a great thing to hold paper. So, and I've clung to it a bit just because, well, just because it was for that purpose. So for those of you guys who do not know what Allie and I are talking about, Ratso is another artist, airbrusher, pen and ink guy, and he was part of Ratfink just like us. In fact, way before us he was. And he guided and helped shape us into being better artists. But more importantly, that dude was my tag team partner. We would talk so much trash about everyone and everything because we're just dudes that were hanging out talking trash about stuff, because that's what we do. And he had passed away a couple of years ago, and life just hasn't been the same without him. I mean, yeah, we lost some other people too, but, well, life's never really the same when you lose anybody. Ratso stung because Ratso was both kind and brilliant enough to say goodbye on the way out. Which was a jerk move, but at the same time, you cannot disrespect the fact that he did it that way. So, and if you don't know about Ratso, well, now you kind of do. You'll never get it in full force, but that's okay. You can put up with us. Damn. Okay. So I'm getting used to this one. This is not my favorite brush, but it's also not my favorite brush because I'm not 100% comfortable with it. But I'm getting there. It's growing on me. The thing is, it's almost identical to the Vortex brush. It's just got this short, stumpy handle, kind of like the Bobo Super Quads. Which, when I was a lot younger, I loved that brush. But I just don't know if I like these short handles as much as I used to. They definitely kill my wrist after a while. I love the fact that this one's got a fat belly and a sharp tip. So you see it right here. It's a lot thicker right in here, and then it's got a sharp tip. So it carries a lot of paint. So I'm able to work longer with it, even though my wrist can only hold on for so long. So it's like, But you want to know who can do both sides of that. Let's get a fresh piece of paper. Because, yeah, we need a fresh piece of paper. I'm running out of room over here. All right, this guy. This is the one from England. This is the one that David Jackson made, and it's an absolutely gorgeous freaking brush. Now this one's got a heavy, heavy belly on it. I'll show you in a second once we get it all loaded up. What that means is that this brush, its own weight should cause it to bow over a bit, because it's just loaded. It's also got a very sharp tip, so once it starts to have less paint in it, I should be able to pull some very, very sharp, pointy lines. Now, to put that in perspective, we won't put it in perspective, we'll just do it, okay? So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this brush, and I'm just gonna drop it like a record needle. This wasn't the best example because it's getting all kind of squirrely on me. There's definitely some anomalies in that one. We may have not reduced that enough. But the result is that I can come back in and thicken some of these up. And I'm going to over thicken them a bit. Okay, I'm going to start a fresh other one, but that one didn't go right. You know what? I think swooshies is a perfectly acceptable term for these. I believe Ed Roth referred to them as swirlies. A lot of other people call them scrolls or whatever, but I think I like swooshies. Okay, that one's better. They're not perfect, but I may have reduced this paint just a little too much, so it's a little sloppy. Let's see, this one, I think this one actually is my favorite for all of this. And I'd like to think it's pretty obvious why. Even if I can't pull a freaking decent line right now. The other thing is I'm trying to sort of mimic what I've done with the other line designs, so that my comparison to them when I look at this later will be fair. This one's messy, but I think that's because my paint is both too reduced and too overloaded. Okay. So anyway, that's the David Jackson. I like this brush probably the most out of all of them, but there are times where I have some inconsistencies while I'm working, and that might actually just be because my wrist is a little crampy, and that probably has something to do with me working with that other one. So, word of advice, do some wrist exercise between sets. Okay. So the whole reason I was shooting this video, oh here, let's do this. We'll do this. Okay, there. So the whole reason I was doing this video was, because I wanted to try out. So there, my phone is misbehaving. Anyhow, I wanted to see what the functionality here on YouTube was going to look like, so I wanted to play around with this a little bit. Because I know that I can't have background music playing, which means I have to work in silence, which is not my favorite. It's not ideal. I dislike it tremendously. The other thing is I'm going to leave this thing up because I'm curious as to see, like, because right now what I see right here, right there, that's a number 2. That means there's only 2 people that are watching. So there's probably not a whole lot of people watching this, whereas when I'm on like the other one, there's like 1,000 people watching. So, and that could also just be because the time of day or whatever. I don't know. But I wanted to play around with how YouTube works for this, and I wanted to play around with these brushes before I actually try to film something with them, because I do have to review all of these things. So yeah, that's where we are. So, till next time, stay moist, my friends. Oh, that didn't work. Here, I